Hello, welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen in healthy relationships. And one of those important things in healthy relationships is to really make your decisions for your life based on what you truly want, rather than what society is telling you to do. So in that thread, in this episode, I am basically reading out to you the reasons why I don't want to have kids and the reasons why I might want to have kids. And this is a very real and raw, vulnerable diary entry style video that I recorded on the floor back there. Enjoy. And be kind in the comments, please. And having children is not a requirement for us to be a family. I came from a family. Like, do I not belong to that family anymore? Like, do I not have a family now because I'm supposed to have a kid? Welcome to Openly Spoken, the podcast to help you show up, speak out, and be seen in healthy relationships. On this show, we talk about self-love, sexuality, relationship tips, including ending the cycle of toxic relationships, and healing and thriving after heartbreak. Hi, I'm your host, Celia, and I am a certified sex, love, and relationship coach, helping ambitious women with a history of toxic relationships feel deeply connected in healthy love. These are such important topics that every woman deserves, so if you could leave this show a rating and a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify to help more women find this, it would mean the absolute world to me. Thank you so much for being here today. Now let's dive into the show. Hello, we are on the floor today, cozy. Hopefully a cat joins us. My money is on Paxton. Today, we're also recording at night, which I don't usually do. So I'm feeling a little bit more of a slow vibe. Yeah, and I really just felt inspired to come on today and to share about the very hard decision of whether or not to have kids, because I know this is such a big issue. It's such a huge decision for so many women and for people who are on the fence about it or thinking about it. It's so hard to land on a side. And I've had a couple of episodes about this before. One was a solo episode, and then one was with Caitlin Rose. I'm going to link that up here. And both of those episodes got a lot of views. So I'm guessing that you listening really resonate with grappling with this decision. And in that episode with Caitlin, I read out to her some reasons that I had in a Google Doc. Well, today, I just printed that Google Doc without looking at it again since that call with Caitlin. And I'm going to share all of these reasons. I have reasons why I don't want kids and reasons why I might want to have kids. The reasons not to have kids is significantly longer. It's very long. There are 67 reasons to not have kids on my list and 13 reasons to have kids. And for me, I started questioning whether or not I wanted kids in 2023. Before then, I always assumed I would have kids. My husband and I talked about having kids before we got married. And I honestly assumed I'd have a baby by now. Like, I wanted a baby by now. But then I started questioning it in 2023. And I think in 2023 was the first time that I entertained the idea, what if I don't have kids? And then that caused a little bit of, questioning my decision. And it sparked a lot of conversations with friends and other women to just really have open discussions about this. And then this past summer, in July of 2024, I decided to fully step into the no, I'm not going to have kids. And then as of now, which is the time that I'm recording this, it is January 2025. I'm recording this ahead of time because I want to just share these reasons have that documented, and I don't want to think about this decision for the rest of the year. I've decided I have time. I can just put on hold, not thinking about it for a year. I'm 35. I can revisit this when I'm 36. Yeah, I'm going to read all of these to you. And because I don't know if I will ever, I don't know which side of the fence I'm going to land on. So I do want to preface this with, if I did end up having kids, this does not mean that I don't love you. Just in case my future children are watching this, that would be weird. It's a weird thought to have. Okay, so let's dive in to this. I am drinking water kefir today. I have to remember to hold the mic next to me. It is a peach water kefir. I won't say the brand, but it's just really popular kombucha brand that recently started making water kefir, and it is so good. You probably know what brand I'm talking about. I'm just not going to mention it because my grandmother will come at me if I give anyone free advertising like she always does. Good looking out, Uma. Ich hab dich lieb. So I'm going to read off my reasons and we'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll add some extra thoughts. Maybe more reasons will come up. And at the end, I'm going to share my reasons why to have kids. I'm going to start off with my reasons I don't want kids. And this is in no particular order. This is just how it came to me when I brain dumped. Reasons to not have kids. Number one, your child could be special needs and end up needing a lot more resources and attention as a child without special needs. Yeah, that's something you don't have control over. It is definitely something you can screen for during pregnancy. However, I'm sure that some things you can only screen for really late in pregnancy, and then, you're in pretty deep. It would either be a really tough decision to decide to end it, or it would be so late that it's illegal to end it. And who knows what the laws are by the time this comes out, since we're about to have a new, by the time at the time of this recording, we're on the last 3 days of Biden. Okay, anyways, number two, the U.S. has the highest maternal death rate, and something could go wrong during my birth. I feel like that is one that's a fear that has come up recently. It's not a fear that I ever had when I would envision myself having kids. It's come up recently more, probably because I'm already at that 35 age, and the medical establishment does a really good job at scaring women into thinking that because you're older, there's going to be more complications, and that mentality has definitely sunken into me a bit. And so for me with birth, it was always important that I do a home birth. But now that I'm already 35 and I'm not yet pregnant, I don't know if I would feel safe doing a home birth. I do know there are so many options. And that's also bringing something up in me that as I share these reasons why I don't want to have kids, I just want to set a boundary here that I am not sharing this to have my mind changed in the comments. I am not this is not an open discussion of yeah, but you can do this, that. These are my honest thoughts, and I'm sharing it because I know there are other women out there who also are struggling with this decision, and this is a conversation that isn't had enough. And I think having kids isn't typically done with as much thought as, in my opinion, as someone who really loves children and loves babies, it's not done with as much thought as I think is necessary, because when you have a baby, that's not just a cute little baby. That'll be an adult one day. It's not your mini-me. It's not your best friend. It's not a little version of you. That is a person. And something else that's coming up, I don't think I wrote it on here, but this is a reason I actually thought of last night as I was falling asleep. And that was when I was I should read all my reasons out loud for the podcast. But as someone who loves babies and who loves children, another reason why I don't want kids is because babyhood goes by so fast. And I feel like that would be so heartbreaking for me. I would be a mess. And I think it sounds more fulfilling to me to try and find some sort of career I can do part-time while I'm still doing my coaching, doing the podcast, where I get to work with babies. I feel like that would be more fulfilling to me than raising my own babies, because my own babies would only be babies for such a short time. And it's going to go by so fast. It goes by so fast. I can't even believe my niece is about to turn 8 years old. It's very unfair how fast it goes. And when I see that and I think of what it must be like from the parent's perspective, especially for me as someone who's highly sensitive, I would be an emotional wreck. I don't know how you parents do it. Okay. The third reason, well, no, it's the fourth because I just added an extra one, but the third reason on my printed out list is pregnancy and birth will leave your body forever changed. In some cases, it could be long-term physical health issues for the rest of your life. And that is something that I never really thought about until recently, when a friend of mine shared a couple of medical issues that she has that started in pregnancy and never went away. And I know that you could adopt and then you don't have to go through pregnancy and birth. So yeah, there's that one. The fourth one, reason not to have kids, is the newborn phase. Needing to wake up every 2 hours and feed a baby sounds like something that would kill me. And my husband has to work, so I would be the one needing to do that all on my own. Okay. To be honest, when I think of the newborn phase, I think both that it would kill me, and I also think both that it would be just like so precious that preciousness in and of itself might be very nourishing and would give me this like, I don't even care that I'm sleep deprived. However, I am someone who does not do well on sleep. I have heard that when you have a baby, that something changes with your sleep. I think you need less sleep or you sleep lighter or something like that. I would hope that if I had kids, I would sleep lighter because I sleep like a rock. I sleep through alarms. I can sleep through... I've slept through an earthquake before when I was a kid. I slept through the Northridge earthquake. Okay, number 5. You could pay for support like a postpartum doula, nanny, etc., but that is so expensive and we probably could not afford it. That's my 5th reason I wrote not to have kids. Yeah, I think that's pretty self-explanatory, especially, as time has gone on, things have just gotten more and more expensive. The income that our household brings in now, like we would have so much more financial freedom if it was in the 90s. And I'm sure all of you watching can relate to that. Okay, number 6 is we have no in-person support system to help us. I wrote that one down because currently where we live, we don't have any family here. I mean, we have some distant family here. We have some family members who just aren't available emotionally, or they're just not available to give us the type of support that would be helpful for having a newborn, which is why I would definitely want to at least get a postpartum doula, because doing everything by yourself, I don't think that's natural. And I think that is, okay, let me put my paper down a little bit. That is the one thing that pisses me off the most about this decision of whether or not to have kids, is that we live in this society where it's so normalized to raise a baby just within a couple. Yes, your parents could be involved. However, as time has gone on, it doesn't seem as common that people are staying in the same cities as their parents because of having better job opportunities if you would move, having better prices for rent, for homes to buy. It's very common nowadays to move. And this is why, like, anytime my husband and I are in our hometown that we met in, we don't see anyone that we know at the grocery store anymore. And when we were growing up, like, you would always run into somebody. And that is the one thing that pisses me off the most with this decision, because I just feel like at the societal level, what is present, how do I want to say this? What is present with how we have created this like nuclear family system is not, it's like a recipe to burn out. And it's not only a recipe to burn out, it's like inevitable that you're not going to meet your child's needs because you have to go to work or you're going to be, just emotionally drained. I think we really were meant to stay living in some sort of tribal, communal kind of society. And I don't see that where I live. And I am not experiencing that at the moment. This year, I am really working on creating more in-person community because my husband and I are about to move out of state. That's actually what we're doing as of now, which is why I'm recording this podcast episode so far in advance. And I'm ready to just like create that in-person community. However, I'm not creating the community from the lens of like, I need my tribe so I can have a baby. So anyways, I get really mad when I look at the state of the world because I feel like the decision of motherhood has kind of been robbed from me, which I know is, my own belief. It's probably not true. However, I truly do feel that way because if I'm being honest, in my heart of hearts, I would love to have a baby. But when I look around at the world, I'm like, not here. Like, this place isn't good enough for a child that I would make. No. I think that's the problem with why I've started to change my mind is that I got to a point in life where I learned a little bit too much about the world, learned a little bit too much about the three companies that own everything, about the just like detrimental effects that corporations have on our environment, about so many things sociology wise, which, I find very fascinating to study sociology and study like the way the world works. But knowing that more and being more educated on that makes me go, no, I don't want to birth someone in this. Like, this is a no. Maybe if I lived in a different country, I have yet to go to a country where I would want, I would want to have I would want to have a baby in the country I was born in. It's at least a little bit better there, but it would still be hard. There would still be some of the same things there present that are present in America, although it would be like 10 times better to have a baby in Germany. Okay. I think that's also what started to change my mind a little bit is I went to Germany for the first time I was 3 when I left, and I was 34 when I finally went to Germany. It took that long for me to go because I had immigration issues, and my immigration status was so that I could leave, but then I wouldn't be able to come back. And then I had DACA for a while, and I had DACA actually for 11 years, I want to say. And even with DACA, you could technically leave the country, but it's not guaranteed that you'll get back in, and immigration lawyers recommend they do not leave. And so when I finally got my green card last year, I went home to Germany. Like, that was the first trip I booked. And just being home with my dad and my grandparents and my brother and, just being in family, it made me be like, I like the family unit. I really do. I feel like the lifestyle of being a part of a family is something that calls to me a lot more than the lifestyle of just being a couple. I love being just a couple and I love the freedom that we have. However, it is also so nice to have that family unit. And I feel like I'm a better person when I have family around me. When my siblings visit, I tend to wake up a lot earlier and like get my yoga in and do all my practices, exercise and stuff because I'm like preparing to have a day of connecting with my family all day. And I'll do that when I'm alone, but I slip a lot. At least as of the time of this recording, I've been slipping a lot with my self-care, and I find it easier to really lean into my self-care when I'm a part of a unit. Maybe that's depression. It could be. It probably is a little bit of depression, but we're working on it. Okay. I feel like there were more thoughts there I wanted to share, but we will move on to what else is on the list, and we will trust whatever comes up. Okay, what number are we on? Okay, number 7. reasons not to have kids is the mental anxiety around being responsible for a child. Sounds like something that will always take up real estate in my brain, even when they are away at school, at an activity, or with a friend/family member. I think that anxiety will still be present and it will be crippling. As I read that, I fucking feel that because this world is terrifying. I know this world is also so beautiful and the world is so terrifying at the same time. And you have no control over anything. You never know when you're going to die. You never know when a natural disaster like an earthquake, for example, like you never know when that's going to happen. You have no control at all. And I can't imagine that reality of having no control if I have a human in my life that I am responsible for. Like that anxiety, ooh, no thank you. I already have enough anxiety in my life. Okay. I like this episode. I feel like it's really fun to share just such like a vulnerable. I feel like I'm reading a diary entry to you right now, and I like it. I feel like I don't really get like this on the solo episodes. I'm more of like, here's how you do this, or we're gonna learn about that. So this is really nice. Okay. We are on number 8. Number 8, reasons not to have kids. I've already on and off dealt with depression in my life, so that puts me at high risk for postpartum depression. And the baby will feel that, which I think is very sad. Yeah, I totally think I would have postpartum depression. Depression is something that I've been familiar with for as long as I can remember. Not that I knew that it was depression when I was little, but yeah, that one is real for me. Very real. At least it's talked about more, which is good. So even if I was in that place, I know I would have have the ability to get help. It's also helpful to be self-aware and to realize that that's what's happening. And I feel like I have that level of self-awareness. That's probably what's like, I mean, we're going to get to the reasons why to have kids at the end, but when I say the self-awareness piece, that for me is a reason why it might actually be really great to have a child at an older age, because you're at this place of, you've grown a lot, you've had the time to grow your self-awareness, and I think that makes you a very good guide for a being that is growing up. And yeah, I don't know if that made sense. Let's move on. Number 9 of reasons why to not have kids. I love babies, toddlers, and small kids, but they grow up to be older ages, and I don't know if I'd like them or be able to be a good mom to an older child, teenager, and then adult. What I think is cool about this one, though, is I'm remembering I have a friend who's 10 years older than me, and her and I were talking about having kids back when I was 30, back when I just assumed I would have kids. And she told me that she was like, Celia, you have so much time to prepare. Once you know you're pregnant, you have 9 whole months, and then the baby is born, they sleep a lot, and it just happens so gradually. So it's not like one day you have a teenager. So that's something that comes to mind as like, yeah, that might actually not be, that might actually not bad. And I think I wrote that one because I used to work at a daycare, and I worked there during the week in the mornings. So I would have kids there. I think 5 months old was the age that we started letting them in, because that's how old they are when they can hold their head up by themselves. And 4 was the oldest. They were like right before they're starting to go to school. And in the summers, we would get kids that were 5 and up. When the older kids came, it just felt like awkward. It felt like I didn't really know how to talk to them and all of that. But again, if you're their parent, that happens gradually, so it probably would be different. Okay, number 10 reasons to not have kids is simply just it's expensive. That's all I wrote. Self-explanatory. Number 11 reasons why to not have kids. Climate change. Something I think about a lot is, especially right now, as of the time of this recording, there are some really bad fires happening in LA, and the Eaton Fire evacuation zone ended like 5 miles away from where I live. Last week, that's where it was at. We're having more fires because of climate change, and there's, harsher winters happening as well. in the colder parts of the US. And something I always think about is if climate change in my lifetime brings like a reality where there's no more food in the grocery stores or there's no clean water or something like that, I wouldn't want to have the extra stress of having a child during that time. Because I feel like, yeah, I mean, that would just be extra stress. And I feel like just being a person that doesn't have that responsibility of being a parent, it's so much easier to just up and go, up and evacuate, to live out of a backpack. My husband and I have really good survival skills. Like we like to go backpacking and we're just with backpacks and we go out there for days. And that gives me so much confidence that if something were to happen, we don't really like need to live in a shelter. Like we could be on foot. We could be like people who survive in the apocalypse. But having a child like that just sounds like an extra thing. Like if the apocalypse happens and we form little tribes again because of that to survive, I would love to be in charge of helping take care of the children, but I wouldn't want one of the children to be my own just because, I don't know, there's that, like your child is your heart outside of your body, like that extra piece of like, it's really like a fear of that deep love that you have for somebody that you made with, I'm in a loving, aligned, beautiful relationship. And like thinking about the human being that would be part me and part my husband, like that level of love is pretty scary. And I know that level of love would also change my life positively because a lot of parents out there, I don't know if any parents would be listening to this. If you are, thanks for being here and entertaining my thoughts. But I know that you, like, that love that you feel is just like you can't explain it in words. Number 13, if the child is a girl, she'll have to live in a world where she doesn't have access to abortion if she should need or want it. Yeah, I mean, hopefully those laws would change by the time she is old enough to possibly need one, but that's a really scary one. And related to that, I'm going to add another reason. The overturning of Roe v. Wade is also something that gives me fear. Like one of the reasons I had here was like anything can happen during pregnancy. Oh no, it was something could go wrong during birth. Okay, so then this is a totally separate reason. Anything could go wrong during pregnancy, and with Roe v. Wade being overturned, it feels really dangerous to be a pregnant person. And yeah, it just feels like I wouldn't have rights. I mean, I'd obviously have rights, but there are some rights that were taken away. And I have had 2 abortions. And when one of the states I lived in for the first abortion I had, it's illegal to have an abortion. And I cannot imagine if it was illegal at that time, like I was so broke, I would not have been able to get a plane ticket and go to a different state. I mean, maybe I could have put it like on a credit card or something. But then would I get arrested when I come back home? Like that's terrifying. And then I would have a baby from a relationship that was just an abusive relation. Like it was a bad situation, which is why it was easy for me to, I mean, it was easy and hard. It was easy to make that decision and say no, but it was also a huge heartbreak. It's not an easy decision to have an abortion. I mean, the decision might be easy, but it's not, even if the decision is easy, it's not an easy thing to go through for any woman, even if she's 100% sure that she wanted to terminate that pregnancy. So yeah, there's another like diary entry moment. 14 reasons not to have kids. The child is a girl, she'll have to work twice as hard for less pay. Yeah, fuck the gender wage gap. Number 15, if the child is a boy, he'll have to live in a world that tells him not to cry or have feelings. That is just... Once I became an aunt to a nephew. I have a niece and a nephew, but the nephew is younger. once I became an aunt to a nephew, once he started like walking and talking, and his mom would send me videos of him dancing, I remember just like looking at it. I remember just, I'm getting emotional. I remember just like looking at the joy on his face and him just like dancing freely and just having this realization like, holy fuck, the world could stomp that out of him. Like this world is not easy to live in, whether you're a man, a woman, a non-binary person. It's not an easy world to live in. And I think because on my show, like we talk about like womanhood, and we talk about womanhood a lot, and I bring up some feminist topics like abortion. I think in the feminist space, it can be hard to realize that it's also hard to be a man or a non-binary person. Like, it's not just hard to be a woman. Like, yes, the patriarchy is real, but the patriarchy does not just harm women. It's harming everybody. And that's a whole different topic to get into. Don't mind my hair. My hair is really wild right now. Number 16, reasons to not have kids. If the child is a boy, he'll have to live in a world where people use online dating apps, and it's harder for boys to match with people there. Recent studies have shown since the introduction of Tinder, there's been a rise in men over 30 not having sex in 3 years or more. Another example of how it's also hard to be a man. Okay, another one that's related to gender. If they are non-binary or gay or part of the LGBTQIA plus community, I would still love them, but I would be so afraid for them existing in the world because the world is not kind to the LGBTQIA plus community. That just like, I have goosebumps in my body. Like, it's just wild to me that we can't just be safe being who we are. I mean, we can. I think the journey is learning to feel so safe in yourself and so secure in yourself that you take that energy out into the world and you don't allow bullies to take that away from you. However, it is very real that in some parts of the US and in other countries, it's even worse. It is legit dangerous to exist for some people. Violence will just be thrusted upon them. And that is just awful. I wish more people in general would remember that, like, every human being out there was once a baby. Every human being has a parent or parents. And, like, we all have, like, I don't even know how to put in words what I'm trying to say, but I just wish people realized how beautiful human beings are instead of hating on each other all the time. Oh, we talked about this one already when I expanded on climate change, but it was climate change will lead to food shortage and having to survive in that with just us would be hard, but much harder and more heartbreaking if we also had a child to worry about. Okay, moving on to number 18, reasons to not have kids. Ooh, I like this one. Reasons not to have kids. No drop-offs or pickups from school every single day of the week. No fucking thank you to that. Like, it is, ugh. That sounds, I mean, it's such a little thing that I'm sure gets routine. I'm sure it's getting some, like, even I'm rolling my eyes at that. Like, girl, you could drop your kid off every day. You could figure that out. But just as a child-free person thinking about that, I'm like, ew, I don't want to do that. Like, for example, tomorrow, I have nowhere to be. I don't have any clients or any calls until 1 p.m. And so I don't need to set an alarm in the morning. I can wake up when my body wants to wake up. And I love that freedom. And I have that freedom because I don't have a child. Reason number 19 to not have kids. Summers are chaos because school is out. Holy shit. My friends that are moms, I don't hear from them all summer. And if I do, they're just like, the energy they're giving off is a chicken with its head cut off. I don't want that. Doesn't sound fun. I'm sure it's worth it, but not for me. Okay, number 20? Number 20. Related to the summer one, vacations are chaos because you have to schedule around your kids or maybe take them with you. And I've heard from a lot of parents that a family vacation a lot of times isn't actually really a vacation. because you're parenting the whole time. Number 21 of reasons not to have kids. It's mental capacity to develop yourself as a person or develop your career. Yeah. Learning is basically my hobby. So that's why I came up with that one. Less ability to be spontaneous or go on a road trip or take a flight somewhere new because your kids are in school. There's, probably all these extra logistics you have to figure out. Number 23, reasons not to have kids, is when you travel to foreign places, you don't have any worries about your child getting sick or kidnapped. Can you tell I'm an anxious person? These are the things I think about. My child getting kidnapped. Okay, reason number 24 of why I don't want kids is, this one, I guess this comes with the territory, but I wrote it down, so I'm going to share with you. Getting thrown up on, shit on, and peed on. Number 25, someone saying, Mom, Mom, Mom. I'm thinking of, what's his name, Stu Griffin? Mama, Mommy, Mama. So annoying. Or a child saying, Dad, 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 all day long. Like, that would probably drive me nuts. Also, how do you work from home if you have clients, if you're recording stuff, if someone's screaming in the background? I mean, I'm sure you can get that under control, but that's one of the reasons I wrote. Reason number 26 of why I don't want kids, having to entertain someone all hours of the day from the time they wake up until bedtime. Yeah, I've seen my brother go through that, and it looks pretty exhausting. He's done a really good job at that. It's been really great to watch. It's so cool to watch your youngest sibling, when you are the oldest of the siblings, be a dad. Kind of, like, it breaks my brain a little bit. Reason number 27 why I don't want kids. It's already hard for us to stick to structure and routines. That's a tough one for us. And kids really thrive in having routines. I think the reason why we have a hard time with routines is because we both came from families that didn't have routines. Like, we didn't have much stability, and we had a lot of dysfunction in our households of origin. That's probably another reason to add there, is our childhoods weren't super rosy. And so being at this stage of life where it's, mid-30s, you're just like, home is such a peaceful place. Like, why would I want to? I didn't even finish reading that one. Okay, it's already really hard for us to stick to structure and routines, and kids really strive in having routines. I think it would be hard for us to implement that. Even if we did, I worry I might hate and resent it. We're not sharing reason number 28 today. I think this is already enough of a diary entry that I want to keep that one to myself. But reason number 29, it goes by way too fast. And you're broke, fucking tired, and maybe even heartbroken at the end. And it's all over, and they've moved out, and it's a thankless job. That's like such a negative view on parenthood. To be honest, I would be ready for it to be a thankless job. I'm ready to give you my all and to just have you hate me anyways, because it's part of the territory. Reason number 30 to not have kids. Possibility of war and our child living through a collapsing society. The possibility of war is very top of mind for my family because they all live in Germany and Russia's like right there. So yeah, that's why that one came up. Reason number 31 to not have kids. Declining wildlife and natural landscapes that add to a child's exploration and health. ... And having a child is so resource dependent, and that's something that adds to the decline in natural wildlife and landscapes. And that only adds to it, again, because of how our society has been structured. A lot of what we're doing now are like old ideas that we came up with a long time ago, before we had enough information about the earth as a living being. And because our economies are so dependent on the structures that we've built, one of those structures being, just the industry of oil and needing oil to get around. And yeah, I feel like society needs a redesign, but I understand why that redesign is not realistic in my lifetime, because that redesign would come with complete and total economic collapse, at least temporarily. I think humans' most violent invention is not a gun. Our most violent invention is the automobile. And I think the automobile is the most violent invention because it's putting shit out into the air that every single living being breathes in, like not just humans. It's violent because of, roadkill that happens, car accidents. And it's also violent because it completely changed the structure of having, low society and being connected with all of your neighbors. Like, it really broke apart tight-knit communities. I know tight-knit communities still exist in pockets of the country, but the invention of the car has really separated us even more and made us more individualistic. I really, really enjoy cities like New York, where it's easy to get around without a car. I feel like you have more of a sense of belonging to a community when you aren't in a box trapped on the 405 going 5 miles an hour for an hour to work and back every single day. It's already so hard for our generation to exist. For example, how out of reach it is to buy a home. And so for our child, it would be way harder. And it seems almost cruel. Hopefully that's coming out right. Cruel, not cool, cruel. It seems cruel to bring them into that kind of existence. I don't know if I'm an antinatalist, but I do, there is a part of me that thinks it's a little unethical. Not that I'm, walking around being like, hey, why are you having kids? Just when I think about me having kids, I feel like it would just feel unethical because of the world and all of these reasons that I'm listing out because of that. Reason number 33 to not have kids. There is data that shows parents in the US are less happy than people who live in the US and decide not to have children. Reason number 34 to not have kids. If we ever wanted to move to a different country, it would be a lot easier with a kid, but I guess, I don't know, was that a Freudian slip? If we ever wanted to move to a different country, it would be harder with a kid, and we wouldn't be ripping them away from their social support system of friends they've made. That one definitely comes from my own childhood trauma. I moved around a lot as a kid. I, was born out of the US and I moved to the US when I was 3. I don't really remember that, but then from the time I was 3 until I was 11, we moved a lot. I changed schools a lot. That by the time, when I was 11, we stayed in that same town when I entered high school. And by the time I was in high school, I would fight with my parents and be like, we are not moving. You can't do this to me. I cannot move. I can't be the new girl while I'm in high school. And because of that moving around, sometimes I think of friends that I had in elementary school that I remember their face. I remember their energy. I have memories of what we did together, but I don't necessarily remember their name. Or if I do remember their name, I have no idea what their last name is. And so we're not in touch anymore. And sometimes I'm I have this grief that's oh my God, my best friend from 2nd grade. I wonder how she's doing. And I have no idea how to contact her. Reason number 35 to not have kids. If one of us gets any big work opportunities that ask us to up and move to another state or country, it's so much more doable if we don't have children. That again kind of leads to the first one. I wouldn't want to be uprooting my child's life. And yeah, it's nice to have that freedom to be able to go anywhere for any opportunity. Reason number 36. I like this one because this points to I like this one because it points to something that people will say sometimes when you say that you don't want kids, and they'll say, who's going to take care of you when you're old? And so this reason is, when we are old, there's no guarantee that our kid or kids would take care of us for many reasons. They could have other obligations. They could be in a tough financial place. They could live really far away. They could even not have a great relationship with us. And currently right now, my grandparents on my mother's side, well, I mean, all my grandparents live in Germany, all the living ones. I have 3 living grandparents. They all live in Germany. And one of them is currently in a home, and he had a child with my grandmother, but she lives here in the US. And so that, that's another thing. It's like, if you have a kid, there's no guarantee they'll take care of you when you're old. It's not like, it's kind of messed up to expect that. I mean, it's nice to do that. Like I would want to help in any way that I can. And when I was in Germany, I visited my grandfather every day in the nursing home. I live in a different country. It could be not accessible. So there's many reasons why your children wouldn't take care of you when you're old. As we age, I think we might be healthier because we're not losing sleep with kids. We'd be having more sex. We'd have less anxiety and stress by not having to provide for a child. I know that for a lot of parents, your sex life gets put on hold for good reasons. And yeah, that sounds really tough. Number 38, reason to not have kids. My husband travels for work a lot. His job is also very difficult. Like it takes a lot out of him, which means that if we were to have a child, the brunt of the parenting work would fall on me. Like I wouldn't be a single mom, obviously, but it would at times feel that way because I would be the parent that is physically present, and I would be the parent that is physically present by myself most of the time. And then even when my husband would be home for a local job or if he has time off of work, because his work is so hard, he might not have the energy to like really put his all into. I mean, I feel like that's like underestimating my husband's potential because he would be a fucking amazing dad. But it sounds like it would be very, very hard logistically with the job that he has. Reason number 39 to not have kids is probably my top reason. This is probably my top reason why I don't want kids. And I'm just going to read it out to you. This is, again, another like diary entry reason. I have a fear of experiencing a psychotic break or a snap or extreme mental health conditions because of the weight of responsibility put on mothers. And also that a mother is judged no matter what she does. And also the mom guilt, the lack of sleep, all the things. I put all the things in all caps. All the things combined sounds like something that would be way too much to handle. I'm a highly sensitive person, if you couldn't tell. And what else did I write? I think if we were living a life that was more community oriented, I wouldn't feel that way. But America isn't really a community friendly place unless you're part of a church, is what I wrote. I don't fully believe that. Because there is definitely like you can find your community at a yoga studio. Like you can find community. I think it's harder to find community now than it used to. But anyways, the psychotic break or snap, like that is my biggest fear. Because I'm highly sensitive. I have a history of depression, of anxiety, and I would be doing the brunt of the work. I would have lack of sleep. I would, my body would be exhausted from pregnancy, from birth, from all the things. I feel like I would just snap and not recognize myself. And what if I would be a horrible mom then because I'm so depleted that I'm in this space of like, and I would not want a child to experience that trauma. But yeah, that's probably my biggest reason is that fear of that psychotic break. I feel like I would be very prone to postpartum depression and like mental health issues from the lack of sleep and all of the things. Reason number 41 to not have kids. Happiness will take a hit due to the anxiety, stress, financial aspects you experience when you have kids. I feel like we mentioned that before, but just in other words. Reason number 42. I like this one. We are already a family. I think part of the way our society is set up and like served to us, it's like you get married, and when you have kids, you have your own family. And I think that's really fucked up because like I came from a family. Like, do I not belong to that family anymore? Like, do I not have a family now because I'm supposed to have a kid? Like, I think that's that, like, I don't know if that's really what people mean when they say that, but that's something that I think of. So I wrote, we are already a family as a couple with cats. Yeah, we're already a family as a couple with cats, parents, siblings, etc. And having children is not a requirement for us to be a family. We are enough as we are. Reason number 43 to not have kids. Oh, this one's funny. We don't have to listen to Row Your Boat or any other annoying kid songs when we drive in the car. ... Ever. That sounds nice. My husband and I are really big into music. And I would not want to listen to Row Your Boat in the car. I think now I understand why my parents didn't play kid songs. I remember in the 90s being like 6 or 7, and my parents would just like blast Tupac in the car, and I hated it. Reason number 44. Pelvic floor prolapse can happen, and peeing a little bit every time I sneeze could happen. I know that's very common. Reason number 45. Having a period for an entire month after giving birth. I didn't know that happened until I was in my 20s, and one of my friends had a kid, and she told me about that, and I was like, Mom, why didn't you tell me this? This is another reason that is associated with the overturning of Roe v. Wade. So reason number 46 to not have kids is the overturning of Roe v. Wade and abortion makes me angry. And it feels powerful to protest against that Roe v. Wade overturning by not using my uterus to make children. Like, that makes me feel like an absolute powerful woman to be like, oh, you're taking my rights away if I was a pregnant person? Well, then no. Reason number 48 to not have kids. There's such a push from conservative politicians to both have kids and then do absolutely nothing to protect those kids or give them a high quality of life. Period. End of sentence. Reason number 49 to not have kids. School shooters. Reason number 50 to not have kids. Public school is shit. You could do private school, but realistically, I don't know if I could. I have no idea how much private school is. But reason number 51, homeschooling sounds exhausting. I wrote that because the first one, public school is shit. Like, if I had a child, I would want to teach them school myself because I feel like there's a lot in school that we are not taught that needs to be taught. But then when I think of, I mean, I haven't looked into the specific logistics of it, but it sounds like a lot. Reason number 52 to not have kids, again, in response to number 50 and 51, is hiring a private teacher is expensive, and we probably couldn't afford that. Reason number 53 to not have kids, Celia will have less time and opportunity to work and make money, both because of the mental load and time commitments of motherhood, and the bias in the job markets against mothers and against people who take a break from the workforce. I think that's really messed up that we are penalized for having gaps in our CV or gaps in our resume. I think that's total bullshit. Number 54, to not have kids. Even if Celia worked, I don't know why I wrote this in third person. Even if Celia worked still, healthcare costs are expensive and could eat up her entire paycheck. Reason number 55 to not have kids is ripping from vagina to asshole during birth. Reason number 50 to not have kids, a possible major surgery during birth, like a C-section, if things aren't progressing naturally. That again goes to the thing of like you never know what's going to happen during pregnancy or during birth. Reason number 57 to not have kids, high medical costs of birth and having debt to pay off because of that for years. Yeah, I can't believe how expensive birth is, even when you have insurance. That is insane in America. Please send help whenever we can. Reason number 59 to not have kids, I think I might have skipped one, but 59 is no privacy. I will just forego the numbers because I think I skipped a couple. Another reason not to have kids: when you're working on a project and you have a kid, you'll most likely be interrupted 50 times. Reason 60, we'll go back to the numbers. Reason number 60 to not have kids: we don't have to worry about living in a neighborhood with a good school, which usually are the more expensive places to live. Reason number 61 to not have kids: all the places in the world that we could travel to and explore because we're not obligated to the parent life and because we have that extra disposable income to be able to travel more often. Reason number 62 to not have kids: this reason of like not knowing what could happen during pregnancy and childbirth, I'm realizing is a reason that comes up a lot. I'm just saying it in a bunch of different ways. And this one is dying during childbirth can totally happen, and there's no way of controlling that. And then I put in parentheses that 808 women die daily. I'm guessing that's the US statistic, but don't quote me on that. I really wish I would have put some sources in here about the couple of research things that I listed in my list so that I can tell you, but do your own research. Reason number 63 to not have kids: we both didn't have good examples of parents. So would we even know what the fuck we're doing? Nobody knows what the fuck they're doing, and that's part of it. Like, nobody has it figured out anyways. So that isn't a reason that's really fully alive in me anymore. Number 64, I don't want to share. I don't want that recorded. Reason number 65 to not have kids. Okay, I don't want that one recorded either. Reason number 66 to not have kids: we can do a FIRE plan for financial independence, retire early. You could probably do that with kids. I know someone who's doing that, who's about to have a baby. Reason number 67, I think having kids brings forth a lot of quote unquote extroverted activities, which sounds exhausting. It kind of does sound fun too. Like when I think of being a mom and like making friends because they are the mom of my kids' friends, it sounds kind of fun, but it also sounds like, oh, what if I don't like her, but my kid really likes their kid, then I have to hang out with her? Like, that would suck. I'd feel really bad about that. Okay, those were all the reasons on my printout sheet of why, like reasons I came up with why to not have kids. And now I have 13 reasons to share with you that I came up with to have kids. So these are reasons why I might consider having a child. Number 1, experiencing that unexplainable love that everyone talks about. Number 2, watching Ashton be a dad. That's my answer. Number 3, watching Ashton. I'm reading the same one. Number 3 is being a mom by my husband. Number 4, I love this one. I think this one might be my favorite. Witnessing a little bean grow up and explore the world, learn things, and become an adult. I think this one's my favorite too. Reason number 5 that I might consider having kids: getting to see the world through a child's eyes. Honestly, though, when I think of the comparison of all the reasons why I would not have kids, even though these reasons to have kids are great, I don't know if it's worth it, because the number one thing, if I would narrow down the 2 reasons why I'm like really like, oh, I don't want to have kids, it's that psychotic break, the fear of having a psychotic break, and the it feeling a little bit unethical to bring a child into this insane world. Okay, reason number 6 that I might consider having kids is going to events that are family friendly and maybe having fun doing something that we wouldn't be interested in if we didn't have a child, and those family memories we would have. That one sounds really nice because, like I said before, I really do enjoy the family unit dynamic. I came from a household of multiple children. I have 3 siblings. I grew up with 2 of them here in the US, and one of them is overseas. We always, like every Sunday, it was family day. Like we weren't allowed to hang out with friends because we had family time, and we would, go for bike rides, go to the movies, and do stuff. And at the time, at sometimes I thought it was annoying, but now I look back at those times fondly, and just having that kind of tradition sounds really nice, although you can do that just with your partner. If you have a partner, like I could just do traditions with my husband. But it also sounds fun to have like that whole unit and be more a part of that like family unit life. And if my brother didn't live in Florida, which is basically like my husband describes it as, I can say this because I've already dropped a couple of curse words, so this is going to be marked as explicit, but my husband describes South Florida as Satan's hot asshole, and the environment is not comfortable living there, and the politics. Otherwise, I would live there because then I'd be near my brother who has 2 kids. See, let's continue. Reasons why I might consider having kids, or reasons to have kids. I didn't really title, or just, it's not title, it's just listed out. Making friends with other parents. Number 8, the spiritual/personal growth from what a taxing job it is. Number 9, maybe it will feel like something that brings us closer together, us being my husband and I, and deepens our relationship and love. ... but also the opposite could happen. Number 10, having someone you need to provide a good life for and who's looking up to you could be a great motivation to be better. And then in parentheses I put, but maybe a dog can do this for you too. Oh, I'm thinking of the dog that we got when I was 15. Troy, may he rest in peace. That dog saved my life. Reason number 11 to have kids, the memories and the silliness. Reason number 12, I wrote, this is exactly what I wrote. I wrote, not a good reason, but tax benefits, LOL. Reason number 13, if we are not living in the US, for example, if we live in Germany, the government provides a lot of support for pregnancy, postpartum, and childcare. And then this one I didn't write down, but I will add a 14th reason of why I would want to have kids. It's a selfish reason. As someone who's a deeply spiritual person, I feel like the spiritual primal experience of going through birth would be so amazing. Going through an unmedicated birth. I mean, granted that everything goes well and nothing bad happens, but going through that and really just surrendering to your body and trusting that your body knows what she's doing sounds just like a huge portal to go through. Yeah, so that is my unfiltered, a little filtered because there are a couple of reasons that I did not want recorded and didn't want to share, but we got very vulnerable in this episode, and my intention with putting this out there is to help you feel seen if you are also someone that is grappling with this decision, can't talk. Okay. My intention is to help you feel seen if you are someone who's also grappling with this decision of, should I have kids? Should I not have kids? And if you feel that it's possible, I would invite you to do what I am doing, and that is I am taking a complete year off of watching any more content that are videos like this, where it's like, should I have a kid? Should I not? These are my reasons. This is like, I'm not watching any more of that content. I'm taking a complete break from listening to the podcast episodes, all the stuff out there about whether or not to have kids or the child-free lifestyle. I'm taking a complete break for this entire year. As of the time of this recording, it is January, but this episode is probably coming out in the summer. So if you are listening and it's summer, maybe you can take the rest of this year off of trying to make this decision if you feel that time is on your side. Another really good argument that one of my friends was also grappling with this decision, who is 40, that she came up with was like, if adoption is something you want to consider, it can be kind of helpful to realize that adoption kind of gives you more time, because then you're not having to deal with your fertility window closing out. I also do want to share that I know people who have had kids after the age of 40 and have had totally healthy and totally fine pregnancies. I know someone who had a child at 43 last year. I know someone who year before, had a child at, I think she was 45. And yeah, their babies are healthy and thriving. So we have time. It can probably be, for me, when I think about having a child after the age of 40 or even at 40, it sounds very exhausting for me. However, I am only 35 and I'm taking this entire year off. And when I am 36, I will probably open this episode and listen to it, or I don't know what I'll do. I'll do something to revisit this decision. But for now, it feels good to like release this and just like let this out and to just leave it up here for whoever wants to engage with it and listen to it. If that is you, thank you so much for being here. I really do appreciate it. It's not lost on me that there's so much other content you could be listening to or watching. And yeah, I hope that you come back to the show. Being child free or choosing whether or not to have a kid is not a regular topic. We usually talk about sexuality, self-love, relationships, healing and thriving after heartbreak. Those are like the topics that we usually lean in more. So if this is your first time listening or watching, subscribe, follow, and come back next week for more, or go and look at the other episodes we've had. We've talked to over hundreds of women. We did not start posting this show onto YouTube until 2023, but this show started in 2021. And yeah, I feel like I'm rambling at this point. So I am signing off. Thank you so much. Bye.